Well, hey everybody, and welcome to this midweek review. Have you ever felt regret? Have you ever felt ashamed? Is there a difference between the two? Well, I really think there is, and there's a great Bible story in the Bible that I want to talk about after we kind of talk about regret and ashamed. Now, say I, Mr. John, want to do the one chip challenge. Okay, we all know about the one chip challenge. It's this chip, it's a one chip, it's in a box, and it's got one chip in it, and this chip is covered in ghost pepper dust. This hot dust that they put on this chip that makes this chip incredibly hot, and the challenge is to eat this chip and I guess to make it through, right? So I take the chip and I put it in my mouth, I chew it up and I swallow, and soon enough, the regret starts to come, right? Mouth starts to get hot, your nose starts to run, eyes are watering, your face is feeling like it's on fire, your mouth is on fire, and you're blowing smoke. God, I need milk, I need ice cream, I need something, right? That is regret. You did something that caused you some discomfort, some pain, something. You regret that decision. Oh man, I'll never do this again. I'll never put one of those hot chips in my mouth. I don't even know if I'll even go to Taco Bell and put a jalapeno on my tacos anymore. It's so hot, right? You regret this decision. When we feel ashamed is a little different, okay? Say I decide I'm going to do the hot chip challenge. But when I go to the store, I buy 2 hot chip challenges. Now, I do it, and the same thing happens to me. Right? Mouth is on fire, face is red, flush, everything goes, and I regret that decision, but I also bought the other one chip challenge to give to my 5-year-old nephew. Now, my 5-year-old nephew doesn't like hot food, and he just is 5 years old. This chip is kind of for people who are kind of like me, who like hot food and are willing to try this. Now, my 5-year-old nephew doesn't like hot food. He's probably not willing to try the hot chip challenge, but I talk him into it. And he takes the hot chip challenge, and the same thing happened. The nose is running, eyes are watering, his mouth is open. His face is turning red, but he is in agony. He is in absolute dire straits pain. And not only is he in pain from this, he is getting sick from it. Now, I regret that I took the chip, and I regret giving him the chip. But I'm also ashamed that something I did, my actions, hurt somebody else. Okay? That's kind of the difference between regret and ashamed. But our story that we're talking about is this guy named Jonah. Jonah is told to go to Nineveh. Nineveh is this town that the people in the town are not following God. As a matter of fact, not only are they not following God, they're doing everything against God. They're just this evil little town. And God says, Jonah, I want you to go there and talk to them. So Jonah goes, well, if I go to Nineveh and I talk about God, something really bad could happen to me. They're not going to listen to me. So instead, I'm going to jump on a boat. Instead of going this way to Nineveh, I'm going to go this way to a town called Tarshish. And this place, Tarshish, is way across the sea. He has to get on a boat. So he gets on this boat. And as the boat is sailing, the boat starts to rock. A storm hits, and this storm is awful. It's horrible. It is so bad that the crew is going, we are in trouble here. We've got to do something. So they start throwing things off the boat. The captain goes down below and he says, hey, listen, Jonah, wake up. I can't believe you're sleeping through this, but wake up. We're in the middle of a storm. If you have your God, we know you believe in God. You need to pray to your God because this is bad. So Jonah prays, they keep trying to figure out what the storm is, and then the crew starts to go, well, something has got to be the problem. Maybe somebody here is not lucky. Okay? So Jonah begins to believe he may be the problem. He actually goes up to the crew and says, hey, I did something wrong here, and I might be the problem. So the crew, he goes, you might even throw me overboard here to save yourselves. He was regretting him getting himself on the boat. And I imagine a little ashamed here because he put the crew into some dire straits. And the crew was like, no, we can't do that. We can't throw somebody overboard. Surely he will die if we do that. But the storm rages on, and then the crew gets even more desperate. So they decide to do something called casting lots or picking lots. So say you have 5 white dice and you have 1 red dice, okay? And you have to kind of pick out which dice you're going to be. And guess who drew the red dice? Of all the white dice, the crew's grabbing them. Jonah gets the red dice. And the crew goes, okay, you are the one who caused this. And they decide to throw him overboard to save themselves. They take Jonah and they throw him into the sea. And the second they hits the water, guess what? The storm stopped. So Jonah is floundering in the water, right? I imagine he's not so ashamed anymore, but he has serious regrets, right? The crew is safe, they're sailing on, and he's in the water floundering and probably think, okay, this is it. I regret my decision. I should have done this, and I'm probably in big trouble when all of a sudden he sees something moving in the water. Oh, what is that? And it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, Jonah sees nothing but darkness. A fish has swallowed Jonah. He's inside of the fish. Now imagine, you're inside of a fish. It doesn't smell too good, right? This is like the worst timeout of all timeouts. And Jonah has to sit there and pray and do really nothing inside the belly of a fish in this dark, stinky, fish spit covered place. And just think about what he has done. Again, I imagine there's a lot of regret. And I also imagine he's ashamed that he didn't do what God had told him to do, right? So the fish, he swims around for 3 days, and I wonder if Jonah even knew it was 3 days. Remember, he's in the dark. An hour would feel like a month to me, stuck in the dark, smelly place like this. But there comes a time, I imagine, Jonah being inside the fish, he can feel the fish start to rise up and swim toward the shore. Or he wouldn't even know it was the shore, but all of a sudden, he sees some light. The fish is starting to open its mouth. And I wonder what Jonah thought in that moment. Oh no, the water's going to come rushing in. Now I'm going to drown. Or maybe he thought, oh boy, the fish is finally going to chew his food. Right? He doesn't know what's going on when all of a sudden, blah, he gets thrown up by the fish on the beach. And he stands there. And he looks around, all stinky, smelling of fish spit or whatever they call it. He stinks, he's nasty, he's dirty, he's filthy, he's wet. He's got to get cleaned up, and he turns and looks. Oh, there's a town. Look at that. And on the sign of that town, Nineveh. God had moved Jonah to the place he wanted him to be, where he told him to go. God moved him to Nineveh. And I can imagine when Jonah sees the sign, it's not regret he feels. It's ashamed that he disobeyed God. But God had a plan. God will supply here. God supplied Jonah the survival. In all the situations we heard was certain death. God kept Jonah alive because he had a task for him to do. And Jonah goes in, he talks to Nineveh, and what he has to say comes straight from God because the people of Nineveh believe. And that town is saved. Remember, God was going to destroy it. And what Jonah had said turned the people's thought process around to live for God and saved an entire town. So guys, I always tell you, God will use you. Don't run from it. Let God use you. You are gifted in so many areas. All you guys out there watching this are gifted somewhere, somehow. Let God use you. Verse is coming up next. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one. Bye. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. Romans 15:13a.